I bought a food sensitivity test online and changed my diet for a month, and here's what happened. After reading reviews, I decided to go with 5 strands that test for 414 foods. It's an $80 test and you can do it at home. This is not sponsored. I paid for my own test. I am aware there can be false negatives and false positives, so I'm treating this as a general idea to start testing and see if I feel better after eating certain foods, taking certain foods away. They're in my red zone. I decided to do it because I've been having quite a bit of inflammation, achy joints, stiff muscles, and even puffy eyes. So I also seem to have more congestion, even coughing the first hour or so that I'm awake. And even though I was eating healthy, I was still bloated and I could not lose my last 3 to 5 pounds to reach my pre-40 weight goal. Would this test be accurate or even partially accurate? I wasn't sure, so I decided to try an experiment. Let me let the dog out really quick. Okay, anyway, so I'm trying this experiment, 4 weeks of eating based off this test. You can't get different results if you don't change the method, right? So I was just ready to try something different. So I used their kit to send in a hair sample, and it took less than a week to get the results. And here are the categories. And if you do it, you better brace yourself for big surprises. Here's where I'm gonna throw in my disclaimer. I am not a doctor or nutrition expert. This is just my experience based off my own specific test results. And this post is definitely not meant as a guide or as medical advice. And please note that here, an intolerance is not the same as an allergy. So sure enough, wheat, oats, and quite a few dairy products and coconut oil I was suggested to eliminate. And I used to use coconut oil on my eyes to remove my makeup, and I would wake up every morning with puffy, irritated eyes, so that didn't surprise me. But what struck me was that the top foods that I dislike tended to be in the red zone. So, I told my mom I shouldn't have carrots and peas. I always hated those. But then there were quite a few surprises, like certain apples, clementines, chicken bone broth, red grapes, olives, brie, cheese, all in the red for me. What is a world without olives and brie? And I guess when I was eating, Magnolia, no. When I was eating bone broth when I was sick, I was doing more harm than good. They took pickles away from me. Some foods that were raw were okay, but not cooked, or vice versa, because cooking can change the compounds of the food. On a more trivial level, it looks like I tolerate white wine, which is a level 0 for me, better than red wine, which always did seem to be the case for me. Anyway, this was just a lot of information to absorb. I wasn't gonna take this as law, but rather wanted to experiment with a diet for several weeks with foods only in the gray and then maybe a few in the green, which they say you can rotate out. Would I lose weight? Would I be less bloated? And more importantly, would I feel better? If this test was accurate, I realized right off the bat that I'm doing a lot wrong. I realized that my favorite protein powder by Sun Warrior has at least 3 ingredients that were level 2 for me: pea protein, stevia, and goji berry. Not only that, I would add piles of raw spinach multiple times a week, which I guess are in my red zone. And I use Ancient Nutrition collagen powder, and it has pollock, which is a fish, which apparently is in the red level 3 for me. I drink collagen and protein powders every day, and it gets worse. I had started using Celeon cinnamon, adding it to my coffee every morning. It's supposed to reduce blood sugar levels, which is also a level 2 for me. So I'm just asking myself, how seriously am I going to take this? So I took a look at what I had already eaten on that very day that I got the test result, and it seemed healthy, but I guess not for me. I looked at how many ingredients were at the level 2 or level 3 for me. 5 ingredients in the green juice that I drank. And then my coffee with my collagen and oat milk and monk fruit extract had 4 ingredients. Then I had made a homemade salmon salad with lettuce and rice and crackers, tomatoes, and a pear. And 3 of those ingredients, it was the dill and celery especially. Anyway, I had already eaten 12 foods that the test said would manifest as physical symptoms for me. So for dinner, I was planning on having eggs, a whole wheat muffin, or like half of one, a sausage link, and some clementines with the kids. And every single one of those is on my elimination list. I am a natural skeptic, but it's not going to hurt me to give this new diet a shot just for a month So I decided to make a list of the ingredients I enjoy that were in the gray zone and decided to focus on what I can eat rather than what I can't. And there's still a long list for me to choose from. My focus during this time is on diet, so I'm not changing my exercise or caloric intake for the dog is hitting me. I'm not gonna change that for the next several weeks. Here's where things stand. I'm almost 45 in a couple weeks, and within a few pounds of my goal pre-40s weight, which I haven't weighed for years, turning 40 right before the pandemic hit me hard. I gained probably 20 pounds and have yo-yoed since. It has taken me 3 years to try to figure this out, and this could be my last step. So as far as exercise, I weighed myself that morning, measured my waist and hips so I'd be able to quantify my change if there was any. I'm already walking 3 miles several times a week and doing toning exercises, so that can stay the same. As far as calories, I'm not going to change my caloric intake. I've been pretty on track, and I use the MyFitnessPal app and their desktop. I also use that to track my weight and measurements. So to calculate how many calories you need for your specific height and age, I'll link a calorie calculator that kind of tells you how much you need. And then to see what your ideal body weight is according to studies, I'll also link an ideal weight calculator. As far as diet, what the heck am I gonna eat? I mean, am I gonna have to make different meals for the family and me? And then I was like, should I get the kids tested too? And I'm like, okay, stop. So, and you can see how my brain works. I had to look long and hard at my list with everything I could eat according to my results, and I tried to come up with a meal plan for at least the next few days. I should say also the results come by email in a PDF, but I also found it helpful to download the 5 Strands app on my phone so I could search ingredients as I flipped through my recipe binder. It made it a little bit easier. For example, I thought about doing this delicious egg roll in a bowl recipe that I love for my next lunches. Then I realized I was gonna have to modify it. No cooked red cabbage because that's a red 3 for me. White cabbage is okay though, I guess. I'll do turkey sausage instead of pork, also a level 3. I'll do olive oil instead of sesame oil, level 3. Leave out the stupid carrots. And this works because I can eat the water chestnuts, the soy sauce, and green onions. So that at least will be several days worth of lunches. Oh, I've also started doing kind of a meal prep, and I started using these glass divided containers to make my lunch for the week. And it works when the kids are at school. I am hoping that it can keep working for summer. And I can't tell you what a help it is to have a planned, healthy meal in the fridge. It's ready to go when you're hungry. Then you're less likely to pick up the pizza, order takeout, or hit the drive-through. Also, it's a lot less mess because you're not cooking every single day. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna journal. Yesterday was my day 1, and as far as congestion went, I was coughing for 2 hours in the morning, had a congested nose, lots of drainage as per usual. As far as joint pain, I tossed and turned that night because my back hurt, stiff, achy after my morning walk, and my eyes were, I said, medium puffy in my little journal. And so changes started right away that morning with coffee. It seemed less healthy to put cow's milk and cane sugar in my coffee, but those were great items to me, so I tried it. 1 teaspoon of sugar and a 1/4 cup of whole milk, and I tested okay for almond and soy milk too, so I might see if I can find a good one without all the processed oils. And then sweeteners were harder to come by for me. Cane sugar, honey, and molasses were about the only ones, and I don't really want the other 2 in my coffee. I did check for the monk fruit, and I have a level 1, so I don't know. Then after my walk, I looked in the ingredients in my supplements I take daily, and my omega-3 fish oil has 2 fish that are in my red zone, 1 in yellow, so I guess I won't be taking that. I also would have been in trouble had I not started cutting out the wheat for the most part the last few months. I already had some alternatives and some snack ideas. For lunch, I made the same salmon salad as the day before, but swapped out the salt and left out the celery and dill. And then for dinner, I had toasted almond flour wraps with turkey and Colby cheese along with an apple. Turkey's a level 1 for me, but I'm gonna have to throw in some level 1s. And chicken is a level 2. Do you have any idea how much chicken I eat? And eggs? So I'm worried that protein might be a challenge. It is day 7. I thought I'd do a little check on after week 1. As far as congestion went, I coughed a few times and had just a less drainage in the morning on day 7. My joint pain was reduced by probably 50%. I lost half an inch in my waist from bloating and lost probably 1.5 pounds. So by day 3 of eating only gray and the occasional green foods, I was surprised to wake up and have half the congestion I normally do in the morning. Day 4, the congestion was almost gone. I was so excited. What if this really was the key to feeling better? I ate well the whole week except on day 5 when late after soccer practice, I impulsively ate a square of the breakfast casserole I made the kids for dinner. It is delicious. But I was only thinking about the consequence of the wheat in the crust, but it also had egg and pork, which are yellow levels for me, and it was not worth it. The next day, my morning cough and drainage came back with vengeance, and I was like, why did I do that? On day 6, we went out to eat for Clara's birthday, and I did not pick at the kids' fried calamari or fresh wood stove pizza like I normally would. I looked at the menu in advance online, and there were only a couple of things I could actually order, so I went ahead and ordered the salmon. On day 7, I was back to probably less than half my normal coughing and congestion in the morning. I also noticed that my shoulders weren't tight like normal. I kind of have like frozen shoulders sometimes, and I usually have to stretch them really well every day. So I'm trying not to get too excited, but gradually I'm feeling better, and I'm looking forward to seeing what next week will hold. Hello, today is my birthday. I'm 45 years old. I'm feeling a little reflective and introspective. That's half your life. And I don't mean that in a sad way. I don't mean it in a scary way. I just mean I learned a lot in this first half, and I'm sort of looking at this second half as like an act 2 of a play. Now I really want to focus on my character growth, my relationships, and being a better me. And that means taking care of my body as well. It was a goal of mine to wake up on my 45th birthday and weigh what I weighed for years before I turned 40. And my metabolism rebelled against me, and I did it. So I was pretty excited this morning with that, and technically I still have another day until week 2 is over, but my congestion overall is down by probably 70% from what it was, and my joint pain is also down by, I would estimate, about 70% as well. I have minimal bloating, and I've lost 2 pounds so far. So I have found that planning is the name of the game, and I started this week by making a list of all my snack and meal options. I did some meal prep in the fridge so I would have some meals ready to go. I don't normally go out to eat very often, but I just got back from lunch with Marcello, and then I went to a Brandon Lake concert with some girlfriends last night. It was so good, so much fun. He just made it a praise party, and we ate beforehand, and I told my friends at dinner about this test and what I was doing because they wanted to buy me a cake. And so they're actually curious about trying it as well. But I have to say, it is not very easy to find items with all your particular gray foods on the menu. I had to look online in advance so I could focus on chit-chatting with my friends and not just, looking at all the ingredients and scouring the menu at the restaurant. So that is week 2. I'm really excited. The pain relief I've experienced has been worth the sacrifice so far. I will check back in with you at week 3. This is kind of my cabinet because I've had to find substitutes for snacks and such. So these are gluten-free ideas. So I have these Siete sea salt chips. The lime ones are really good too, but those have really clean ingredients and no weird oils. They even use avocado oil. I have some cashews in here because there's a lot of nuts apparently I shouldn't be eating. Some rice crackers, very tasty, with some goat cheese and maybe a sliced cucumber. And then finally these rice cakes, and sometimes I put peanut butter and fruit on them. So those are, some of them are light. The cashews aren't really they're not really light in calories, but these are some alternative ideas. So we found these avocado oil sweet potato chips. They only have sweet potatoes, avocado oil, and sea salt, and they are delicious. My refrigerator is looking a lot different. A lot of fresh herbs. I realized that I have not been using fresh herbs enough. I had to try to start using scallions or green onions because onions don't work for me. So I have all of these and they last a really long time with a little bit of water in these Ziploc bags. I even started making things with yogurt base instead of mayo, for example, and I actually like it better. This one I'm kind of going to use as a dipping sauce, maybe even a salad dressing. It's just yogurt and it has all kinds of herbs in it and some lemon juice. I've also started using the yogurt for spicy sauces too, like for tacos and burritos. So that's another idea for a swap. Real quick, this is my kids' snack drawer. I'm not expecting them to eat exactly like I am, but I am making healthier meals, but they still have their treats too. I have been keeping a lot of things in the freezer because healthy food is expensive and I don't want any of it going to waste. So this is my little veggie bin with cauliflower rice and broccoli and such, and lots of fruit for smoothies. And this is another alternative. I've been using these almond flour tortillas, also with very clean ingredients. I will say these are pricey, so that's my one complaint. And then up here, well, there's just a lot of stuff, but I do have some meals that my kids don't want to eat, and that my husband actually has been eating along with me. He's gone a lot at nights. But anyway, I have quite a few of these frozen meals stacking up that I can have in a pinch. I just finished week 3, and this week my morning congestion was noticeably lower. I think probably up to even 90% from when I started, which is amazing. It's still slightly there, but at least there's no coughing. My joint pain is even a little lower, maybe around 60% decrease from when I started, and my weight has stayed the same from last week. I'm not trying to lose more weight, but I do think it would be normal for it to plateau at this time anyway. Also, I cheated this week. The other night I ate 2 pieces of small pizza. Obviously, my weakness here, I thought it through and I decided to go for it, and I didn't shove it in my mouth either. I took small bites and enjoyed the trifecta of crust and sauce and cheese. But the problem is that this little trio has 2 level 3s and 1 level 2 according to my body, so not good. Was it worth it? Yes and no. I don't expect that I'll never eat any of these intolerance foods again, but I did hope to stick to it for at least these dedicated 4 weeks so that I would have a base understanding of how I feel without them. So I'm not into food guilt, so I'll look at the positive. I do see there is a direct correlation with these ingredients and the way I feel the next morning. And that's gonna sit in the back of my mind the next time I'm tempted. In the morning, I was more bloated and more congested, not as much as in the beginning when my body was bombarded with these things daily, but enough to be noticeable and annoying. Overall, I haven't really felt that much temptation to eat foods outside my list because I've felt and looked so much better. And like I said, we've been out to eat, birthday parties, Cinco de Mayo. I started back up with a different type of collagen, the popular Vital Proteins, because my previous kind uses fish that are in my red zone. Some people say collagen is a crock, but I can actually really tell a difference in my hair and my nails when I take it. Even in as little as a month, I noticed a change, and I'm hoping that it has the same effect on my bones as well. Fish are more sustainable because then to make that collagen, they use the scales that would be discarded anyway. But I've taken Vital Proteins before and I know that it works. It's made from cowhide. I don't love adding more, cow's milk and more cow things, cow products to my diet. So this is kind of like interim until I figure out how to vary these things a little bit. I'm also trying new foods that I don't normally buy, like goat cheese, sweet potatoes, cauliflower rice, and some different fruits. And I'm taking some plants away, so I want to make sure I'm adding in new ones as well. I usually try to make sure I'm getting 30 or more plants a week for a diverse and healthy microbiome. So that's the update for this week. I'm going to give it my all for week 4, so I'm excited to see and share final results. Here we are, week 4. Finally, I really decided to go for it this week with a clean diet and sticking to the plan, and I'm so pleased with the results. My congestion is nearly gone, my eyes are not puffy. I have struggled for years with puffy eyes. My joint pain, I'd say, has 80% improvement. My bloating is minimal. I'm surprised every day how much flatter my stomach is than it was before, not holding on to all that water weight. I've lost 3 or 4 pounds, even with minimal exercise this week. Walking helps me the most with weight loss and maintenance. but it's getting so hot and humid out. It's harder to make myself work out indoors, but I'm trying. But maybe this is better for our little experiment, just to see what diet can do for your body instead of diet and exercise, essentially. I imagine the weight loss is due to a few things. One, I'm more intentional about the food that goes in my mouth, and that means a lot more planning and a lot less snacking. Two, it seems my body knows how to process these foods better, and I'm more regular. Number three, studies show weight loss is more difficult with inflammation. So by reducing my inflammation, my body's more willing to let go of those last pesky pounds. I also have a lot better sleep with less inflammation. I think if you were up 20 pounds or more, like I was a couple years ago, you would see a much higher weight loss result from doing this kind of diet. But of course, the closer you are to your goal weight, the harder it is to shave off. I'm grateful to say I am no longer actively trying to lose weight. I honestly wasn't sure if I would ever say that again. It's taken me about 4 years to find my stride, to begin to love fitness, to change my diet, and to make it a lifestyle instead of consecutive failing crash courses, which are so disappointing. And it's a journey and it takes time, but really I've learned something new with each step. And this test was a great step in the right direction for me. So 5 Strands recommends that you eliminate these foods for 6 to 8 weeks, and then you can try introducing one food at a time, see how your body reacts. I've had such good results from these 4 weeks that I'm gonna continue on for at least another couple weeks before I try to add anything back. That makes me a little nervous. I mean, chicken or eggs, that would be helpful, but I mean, maybe I'll just continue to eat like this, except for on rare occasions. Overall, this was a really beneficial experiment. If nothing else, it opened me up to new ways of cooking and new foods I hadn't tried before. But the reduced joint pain and congestion and overall inflammation is incredible. So let me know, is this something that you would ever try? I know we're also different and our bodies have specific needs. What kind of diet have you found works best for you? That's it for this episode. I hope to see you next week.